Hello, good day. This video presentation is all about human-computer interaction, Chapter 11, entitled User Support. I am Ronalyn Ortega, and I will be discussing to you the first part of the introduction. So first, let us define what is support. Provide technical help or assistance to system users. It also resolves problems and answers questions that is related to the system. If an interactive system is properly designed, user will require little or no help or training. A more helpful approach is to assume that the user will require assistance at various times and design this to help the system. Basic requirements. First is available but unobtrusive. This is the continuous access of the user without any interruption. Next is accurate and robust. The completeness and all the details intended target for your system and also to the user. Consistent and flexible. It has to be the same or reliable that can interact appropriately to what it is intended or needed by the user. So there are four main types of assistance that user require. First is quick reference, task-specific help, full explanation, and tutorial. Quick reference. It is a reminder of details, assumes familiarity, command or syntax. It is used primarily as a reminder to the user of the details of tools he is basically familiar with. This is an example of quick reference Microsoft Word 2007 screen. If the user used to find a particular command option, and it is also remind the user of the syntax command that is included on the sides of a particular application. Task-specific help. Task-specific help addresses problems with particular tasks. It focuses on what is currently being done. So, when the user has encountered a problem when performing a particular task, if the user is not sure how to apply the tool, this assistance is offered directly of what is being done. As an example of task-specific help, on the left side, as you can see, the user is struggling on making a new slide. So the task-specific help provides how to create a new slide. First, on the common task toolbar, click new slide. Then second, scroll to see more layouts and then click the one you want. Full explanation. Full explanation for more experienced and inquisitive users. This assistance is for the user to understand it more fully. It is in full explanation and includes information that the user does not need at that time. Example of full explanation given the information of a application in detail and precise. Tutorial. It is aimed at new users. It is a step-by-step instruction, or perhaps by working through examples of how to use a specific tool. This is an example of tutorial creating mail merge. On the picture, as you can see, it is a step-by-step procedure that you can follow on how to merge email. These are the additional examples on tutorials, online tutorials, and how to crop an image tutorial. So, this ends my presentation. Thank you.
I'm Pauline Miranda, and I will be discussing the continuation of the introduction. So each of these types of user support is complementary. They are required at different points in the user's experience with the system and fulfill distinct needs. So, those types of user support is required at some instances doon sa experience ni user kapag ginagamit niya yung system, or required siya para maibigay yung kailangan ng user doon sa system na ginagamit niya. So, meaning to say, types of user support is important to comply or para makapag-comply doon sa mga needs and wants ni user kapag ginagamit niya yung system. So, within these types of required support is mayroong mga informations na kailangan or na gusto ni user kapag ginagamit niya yung system or kapag meron siyang ginagamit na system. So, yun po is, first one is the definitions. The second one is examples, known errors and error recovery information, and also the command options and accelerator. So, those pieces of information ay kailangan ni user or gusto ni user na makita niya sa system na ginagamit niya in order to comply or in order to fulfill the needs and wants of the system, of the user rather. So some of those pieces of information is provided provided siya doon sa design interface. Meron namang ibang pieces of information na kailangan ni user o na gusto ni user na kasama or included na siya doon sa help or doon sa support system. So, next is the different types of help required also imply the need for provision of different types of help system. Yan. So in this chapter, we will look at a number of different types of user support system. So sa chapter na to, as the assigned reporters are discussing the chapter 11, we will discuss here the different types of user support system. We will elaborate the types of user support system, and we will also try to determine kung paano ba makakagawa ng isang good user support system para mas makapag-provide siya, makapag-comply siya doon sa mga needs and wants ni user kapag ginagamit niya yung system. So, next is, ang pagkakaiba nitong help system and documentation is that help systems are problem-oriented and specific, while ito namang si documentation is system-oriented and generic. Ibig sabihin, itong si help system, specific siya. Merong specific meron siyang specific purpose, while itong si documentation is generic siya, unlike doon sa help system na merong mga specific na instances or merong mga specific points na doon siya kailangan. So this is an artificial distinction whenever or when considering the design of such system, since the same principles apply to both and mayroon ding overlap doon sa help systems and documentation. So instead of drawing a fixed line between the two, we will consider all types of user support in terms of the requirements they fulfill. So, sabi nga dito, i-consider natin dito yung mga types of user support in terms of doon sa mga kailangan para ma-fulfill or para makapag-comply si system doon sa kailangan ni user. Next is, we will also concentrate on online support. Although, much of what is said will be helpful in designing paper documentation and tutorials. So, in this chapter, we will concentrate on online support. Yan. So, in these times, yan, kahit tayo, whenever we use a system, we really want or we really need online support for us to immediately solve the problems or the errors na mag-occur whenever or kapag ginagamit na natin yung system, di ba? Before we look in more detail at different approaches to providing user support, we will think for a while about the general requirements that the ideal help system should have. So, yun po, we will think for a while about the general requirements that the ideal help system should have. So, the requirements of user support will be discussed by the next assigned reporter. So, the rest of the parts or the sections of this chapter will be discussed by the assigned students of BS IT 2B. So, thank you for listening sa introduction po ng chapter 11.